about 2008, there was a little bit of, I'd imagine, frustration is the right word, but certainly a need arose in the business. We were very operationally focused, and it felt as if we were on the treadmill. We were having difficulty in executing strategic initiatives, and it was really, we were in a holding stroke maintenance mode. The business is such that it's a centralized administration, a decentralized model, meaning sites all over the country, and literally when I say all over the country, I mean ranging from Namibia to Mafeking to PE to Bloemfontein, etc. And obviously that model in itself poses many challenges. A lot of the initiatives that we were driving were HR-based initiatives. They were training and development initiatives, they were performance management initiatives, and it was also communications. And I felt that as an organization we weren't executing particularly well. We were predominantly on a treadmill. We were dealing with the day-to-day operational issues, but we weren't advancing further than the day-to-day operational issues in terms of execution of strategic objectives. I did some investigations as to who can help me with this process, and in fact I wasn't clear myself in terms of what I was looking for. And I was recommended a particular individual that I had come in and consult to us. And when I told him what I needed, he actually drew my attention to the fact that it was really a overhaul of a process as opposed to bits and pieces of a puzzle. And what I mean by that is that I wanted an improvement in communications internally. I wanted an improvement in the quality of the performance management process and all the rest of it. And he started asking some pretty tough, hard questions. And what transpired out of the process is, or what was agreed out of the initial processes, is that we actually needed to undergo a change management process. And it wasn't a change management process in the sense that the business was failing or doing badly, but it was really to create an initiative to give the business the impetus to actually take it forward. And it was quite interesting. So what transpired out of the process is that we adopted the Kotter's model of change, which is an 8-step model, and in essence it was the steps are really to create a sense of urgency. They are to form a guiding coalition of people that would obviously help drive their process forward, to revisit your vision and your strategy and ensure that it's actually accurate in terms of what you're trying to achieve, to communicate that strategy, to eliminate barriers that exist in terms of achieving that strategy, to identify and execute quick wins, because that's always important in a change management process, in that people can obviously see that advancements are being made, and then to basically bank those wins and focus and consolidate on the next series. So what we did is that, and it was an amazingly transparent process, we elected key management in terms of that guiding coalition that I mentioned earlier, and we went away on a management retreat, and we basically did a SWOT analysis on the business. We identified what were issues that were threats, what were opportunities, etc., and we basically, what came out of that is that certainly everybody bought into the fact that we needed to change how we were doing things, simply because we weren't making the necessary advancements. So already we had sort of started to win, a small group of people, but a very, very important group of people, minds and hearts of everyone saying, what guys, if we don't change, we continue on the treadmill, we continue not executing as effectively as we'd want to, and that certainly was achieved there. Then it was a case of, what is our vision? Is our vision clear to everybody? So we workshopped the vision, made sure that it spoke to everybody, was absolutely clear. And then we identified the key strategic objectives that we felt that we needed to take forward. And really there were a couple of key strategic objectives. The one was communications, but it was communications not so much as communications in the form of a newsletter to the staff. It was the flow of information It was more than just interviewing a particular candidate and what his likes and dislikes was, and talking about the latest site that we had started up. It was ensuring that there was effective communication, that the communication was not filtered communication that was traveling through the organization. So there was a group of people that were actually tasked with the project of driving communications. What also came through the process is that a lot of people were frustrated that the level of management coming up through the ranks was not at the required level, and that in fact was pulling everybody down. That's why people couldn't get off the treadmill. So we established a leadership pipeline where people were identified, potential leaders, they were sent off, they were sent on external training, and they were given opportunities, which in fact today, I think that the majority of those people that were sent on leadership training are in fact in leadership positions in our business today. And obviously, the process has continued with a leadership pipeline. Another initiative was performance management. That probably in terms of being the glue was probably one of the biggest initiatives that we rolled out. And again, we formed a group of people that were responsible for driving that process, for collaborating, for involving others in that process. And we rolled out a balanced scorecard that was obviously reflective of the strategy. But certainly what worked, and I think the topic really today is about bringing in an expert. The approach that we adopted was very different from any approaches that we had adopted in the past. So where it was a case of myself trying to drive many initiatives with individuals, the process really changed to the business being clear and getting buy-in as to what the strategic imperatives were, what the vision was, and forming self-directed work teams that were made responsible for actually executing those particular projects. I think that there were a couple of other projects, back to basics, of reviewing certain process flows, certain policies and procedures within the business, ensuring that they were as streamlined and as effective as possible. And that really was a process. I mean, the change management process never changes in a sense. It's the sense of urgency that needs to be revisited. It's the guiding coalition that needs to be motivated and given direction. But we initiated that in 2008, really started to see the effects, the positive effects of it in 2010. Probably in 2011 enjoyed the best growth our company's ever enjoyed in terms of revenue. And today, obviously in a very different market from 2008, being the start of the global financial crisis, it's almost a need to revisit that, re-establish senses of urgency, revisit obstacles that exist and need to be eliminated. But certainly in my experience is that this change management process was really about organizational development as opposed to what I had known as HR/IR/ training and development. And the expert, which I didn't know was an expert at the time, was really an expert on organizational development, making the wheels of the business turn, as opposed to a lot of different projects happening in isolation. We actually branded the initiative, so we gave it. We formed an umbrella program where we put all these bits and pieces. We called it One Voice. Which I think was quite pertinent because we all wanted to speak in a voice. But funny enough, the One Voice, actually the name for the initiative was not, it came out of the process. When we look at financial, that was the value. When we look at our staff, that was our people, the O. The R was innovation for us, it was an important element. The C was customer satisfaction. And the E for our business was represented the values, the EcoWise way. So we arrived at voice, and then from voice, it actually became, why don't we speak in one voice as opposed to voice? And that became the umbrella initiative for the very, there were a number of different changes going on at the same time. But the beauty about bringing it under a sort of guarding or an umbrella type of program is that the language in the business changed. So when we adopted a roadshow, we traveled around, we got people excited about One Voice, and we got people's buy-in by and large. You know, obviously within a big organization, you know, some people are skeptical, you know, they think they've heard it before, but certainly this was the most successful, you know, program that we've introduced into our business. And we were able to cross the finishing line, which we weren't able to do on most of those initiatives.